Hi, I'm Peter J. Ray. Welcome. Today's topic is the 1896 Cleveland Spiders MLB World Series team. For the second year in a row, the Spiders were back in the World Series, and for the third time in 6 years, or 5 years, 2, 3, 4, 5. Anyway, third time in 5 years, and so that was really something. Again, they are playing in the National League, the senior circuit, and they were also playing again in League Park in Cleveland, their home field. Now, the Spiders' record in 1896 was 80-48. Wow, really good. 32 games over 500, a winning percentage of .625. Tremendous. They finished 9.5 games out of first, and as I said, they played in the World Series. There was only one league, so the World Series was played between the top two teams, the first place and second place teams. So the Baltimore Orioles finished first, played the Cleveland Spiders, finished second, and the Orioles swept the series. They won all four. So we did not repeat as World Series champions. But still, it's a tremendous achievement if you make it to the World Series, and something to be proud of. Now, the Orioles' record in 1896, Baltimore Orioles, was 90-39, so they were a tremendous team. Cleveland Spiders second at 80-48. Third place, the Cincinnati Reds, 77-50. Fourth place, the Boston Beaneaters, 74-57. Fifth place, the Chicago Colts, 71-57. Sixth place, the Pittsburgh Pirates, 66-63. Seventh place, the New York Giants, 64-67. Eighth place, the Philadelphia Phillies, 62-68. Ninth place, the Washington Senators, 58-73. 10th place, the Brooklyn Bridegrooms, 58-73. 11th place, the St. Louis Browns, 40-90. And again in last place, the Louisville Colonels, who were 38-93. Now, there were some changes made to the rules. Again, they kept tinkering. In 1896, it became the umpire's decision, not the home team captain, regarding when or if to resume play after a rain delay. Another new rule was that the home team must have at least 12 baseballs for each game. Now, this became an issue. Sometimes they would put into play, the home team would put into play a slow ball, or a ball that was kind of a dud, maybe not very white and not lively when the away team was batting. So this became an issue. In 1896, the Spiders, Frank Robinson, the owner of the Spiders, announced that the Spiders would not play any Sunday baseball games. Now, they were not playing Sunday baseball games at home because of the politically, there were the Protestant Christian ministers who were very much against it and were able to have it stopped. So it wasn't happening, and this was very unfortunate because that was the one day a week people had off work. People were working Monday through Saturday. And but the Spiders had been playing away games, and then these ministers, local ministers in Cleveland, were telling people, "Oh, don't support the Spiders because they play on Sunday. This is bad." And so he thought, well, maybe we'll get support. The fan support will go up if the Spiders never play on Sunday, and people think, "Oh, they're good guys." And hopefully the idea was to raise attendance, and it did not work. Attendance continued to be not very good. It was an Ohio State ban on Sunday baseball, which was ignored in Cincinnati. And they were getting 20,000 fans on Sunday games because the Cincinnati Protestant leaders were weaker, and the political boss in Cincinnati, George P. Cox, was pro-sports and allowed Sunday baseball. So this was tough. This was tough on the Spiders financially and they're saying, look at Cincinnati, they were able to play on Sunday. Now, there was a game on June 25th in Louisville. Jesse Burkett was upset by umpire George Stump Weidman's call. He grabbed Weidman's arm and, quote, shook him like a rat. That was not good. There was an increase in player misbehavior in 1896 among the Spiders and throughout baseball. Now, in the World Series, the Spiders had a real disadvantage because the players were exhausted and Cy Young was worn out. The Spiders had to play hard to finish second and make it to the World Series because of the challenge by the Cincinnati Reds. On the other hand, the Orioles clinched early and were able to rest before the World Series. The first 3 games were in Baltimore, and the Spiders traveled by train to Baltimore. It was a 27-hour nightmare trip. There had been heavy rains, bridges were washed out, there was a derailment, and the players had to get out of the train and walk through ankle-deep mud around the wreck. And they had nerve-wracking passage over dangerous-looking bridges. So, in the last week of the season, there had been rain, and they couldn't practice or play at all. And actually, they got to Baltimore, and the Orioles refused to allow the Spiders to have a day of practice. So in Game 1, the Orioles won 7-1 against Cy Young, who pitched for Cleveland. And there were injuries in that game for Cleveland. Patsy Tebow was batting, and he swung at a pitch and hurt his back. He swung very hard, and he was out for the rest of the series. He didn't play anymore, and in fact, he couldn't even manage because he was in so much pain. And Cy Young, even worse, took a line drive off the bat of John McGraw in his pitching hand, which became red and swollen after the game, and he did not pitch again. We only had him in Game 1. So we were in big trouble. Game 2, the Orioles won 7-2 against Bobby Wallace, who pitched for Cleveland. Game 3, Tebow, like I said, was sick. Jack O'Connor was the manager. Tebow wasn't even in the dugout because he was so he became sick. And he was sitting with DeWolf Hopper, a famous actor of the time, who was the first guy to perform what became the famous poem, Casey at the Bat. And it has the famous final line in the poem, There's no joy in Mudville. Mighty Casey had struck out. That's a famous part of American lore, Americana. Game 3, the Orioles won 6-2 against Nig Cuppy. And John McGraw had 3 stolen bases. So the two teams traveled back to Cleveland for Game 4, where it was rainy and cold. And the Spiders were down 3-0. And the fans were demoralized. Only 2,000 fans came to Game 4, and Nig Cuppy pitched again, and Baltimore won 5-0 to sweep the World Series, also known as the Temple Cup. World Series attendance had been poor. The Spiders players only received $200 per player for winning, and the Orioles received $200. The Spiders $117 per player. On October 12th, there was a party in Cleveland at the Holland House Bar, in which the Orioles and Spiders players both came, and it was they were turning the Temple Cup over to the Orioles, and during this time they filled the Temple Cup with champagne and passed it around and emptied it. They all took drinks out of the cup. Then they were drinking, and they started playing keep away, and they were kicking the trophy like a football, which took a real beating. Now in September, after the they're still during the regular season, but before the World Series, the Spiders were in Youngstown for an exhibition game, and after the game in the locker room there was a fight between Patsy Tebow and Jimmy McCallier. After the World Series, Elmer Pasco of the Cleveland Press reported that fight in the newspaper, and then this didn't go down well. And then there was this very ugly scene at the Kennard House in downtown Cleveland, a fight between this Cleveland sports writer, Elmer Pasco, and Patsy Tebow and Jack O'Connor. In the fight, Pasco was very badly hurt. And this was really a tragic, really unfortunate. And after that fight, the Cleveland media, Cleveland sports writers, became anti-Spiders and anti-Tebow. And I think this is really why the Cleveland Spiders have been eliminated from Cleveland baseball history because of this particular incident, and why we don't know about the 1895 Cleveland Spiders World Series champions because of this terrible thing that happened. The Spiders had the best ERA in the National League, 3.46, best pitching, and they also hit .301, really good hitting, which was second best. The Orioles had an average of .328 and stole 441 bases, so they were a tremendous team. Now, shortly after the season, in November, William McKinley from Canton, Ohio, was elected the 25th President of the United States. So folks were proud of that here in Cleveland and in Ohio. And of course, Canton is also where the NFL was founded in 1920, and where the Pro Football Hall of Fame is located. So the regular lineup for the 1896 Cleveland Spiders, Patsy Tebow was again the manager and first baseman, player-manager. Tebow hit .269, 22 doubles, 6 triples, 2 home runs, 94 RBIs, 20 stolen bases in 132 games. He also got into a game, did not have a decision, pitched a third of an inning, gave up a hit. Tebow was arrested. Actually, the whole team was arrested in Louisville because there was a riot there. It was a very, very ugly scene. Jimmy McCallier actually punched the umpire in the face. The players were all arrested, and now when they got back to Cleveland, a fan shouted at Tebow that he was, quote, first in war, first in peace, and first in the hearts of the Louisville police. That's a reference to George Washington's eulogy by Light Horse Harry Lee, the father of Robert E. Lee. After George Washington died, that Washington was first in war, first in peace, and first in the hearts of his countrymen. So that was at League Park. Now, Tebow doffed his cap and smiled after that comment. Rich Blevins wrote about he's a historian, and he wrote that Patsy Tebow in 1896 was having manic episodes. He believes Tebow had manic depression. He had mental illness, and he was becoming more and more violent. And he writes that Tebow was more of a distraction than an inspiration, and the Spiders were a sports anachronism. In other words, he was just going too far. You know, it was too bad. And he died young. He had a drinking problem. Apparently, he had mental illness. And, he had been, he was really a tremendous leader, but then things were spinning out of control. On September 2, in Brooklyn, the Spiders arrived for a game, and the visitors' clubhouse was locked. A future owner of the Brooklyn Dodgers, Charles Ebbets, for whom Ebbets Field was named, had locked the door. And the reason is that Tebow, when they had the Spiders that were in Brooklyn earlier in the year, Tebow had destroyed a door in the clubhouse which cost $4 to replace, and Jesse Burkett had thrown a baseball out of the ballpark, which he said that was no good. It was a dead ball. And that cost $1.25. And so they told the Spiders, Tebow was told, you got to pay $5.25 for us to open the clubhouse. And Tebow at first was like, what are you talking about? But finally, Patsy Tebow gave Ebbets a $20 bill, asked for change and a receipt. And then later, Tebow said to Dave Foots, the Brooklyn manager, quote, now you mind and God help you. If you so much as injure one blade of grass on the Cleveland grounds, next season you will pay for it. If you spoil the surface of the lawn by dropping a bat too hard, you will pay for it. If you scratch one particle of rubber from home plate, cut one thread in the canvas on the bases, you will pay for it. Every bit of dirt that you carry off the field on your spikes, you will be charged for at the current price of real estate in Cleveland. We play on grounds in Cleveland worth $10,000 a square foot. We will make you a present of the air and water you drink, but don't mar the bucket by dropping the cup in too hastily, or we will make you pay for that. So he was making light of the situation. Now, Chief Zimmer, again, was our catcher. I think the best player on the team because he was such a good guy, a very calming influence on this crazy group. Zimmer hit .277, 18 doubles, 3 triples, 3 home runs, 46 RBIs, 4 stolen bases in 91 games. Cupid Childs was back at second base. Childs had a tremendous year. Cupid Childs hit .355, 24 doubles, 9 triples, a home run, 106 RBIs, 25 stolen bases in 132 games. Only 4 middle infielders, meaning shortstop and second base, in Major League history have hit .300 with 1,500 hits and are not in the Hall of Fame. And 2 of them are Cupid Childs and Edy Mckean, the Cleveland Spiders double-play combination. So the implication is those 2 guys belong in the Hall of Fame. On July 26th in Cincinnati, there was Spiders were playing. It was the Reds were winning a blowout. In the 8th inning, the Reds player Eddie Burke attempted a stolen base, which Cupid Childs did not take kindly because it's a blowout. Childs tagged him, dropped the ball, and lost his temper. He picked up Burke and body slammed him into the ground, and that led to a riot. You know, big fight, players fighting, fans on the field, and so forth. Anyway, Cuba Childs was a tremendous player. Edy Mckean was back at shortstop, and he had an amazing year. McKean hit .338. Tremendous. 29 doubles, 12 triples, 7 home runs, 112 RBIs, 13 stolen bases, and 133 games. Before the season, McKean had married a woman named Belle Moran, who was an Irish immigrant, so he was a married man during the 1896 season. Chippy McGarr was back at third base. McGarr hit .268, 16 doubles, 4 triples, a home run, 53 RBIs, 16 stolen bases in 113 games. In the outfield, Jimmy McCallier was back. He hit .288, 16 doubles, 4 triples, a home run, 54 RBIs, 24 stolen bases in 116 games. Jesse the Crab Burkett had an incredible year in the outfield. He hit .410. Man, a 400 hitter, 27 doubles, 16 triples, 6 home runs, 72 RBIs, 34 stolen bases, and 133 games. Jesse Burkett was one of the best players in baseball in 1896. Another regular outfielder was Harry Blake, who hit .240, 12 doubles, 5 triples, a home run, 43 RBIs, 10 stolen bases in 104 games. The Spiders were missing George Davis, whom we had traded. Now, the bench players included Jack O'Connor, who was a spare catcher, give Chief Zimmer a break. O'Connor hit .297, 11 doubles, a triple, a home run, 43 RBIs, 15 stolen bases in 68 games. Jack O'Connor. Bobby Wallace was a bench player and actually an outfield and a pitcher as well. He played the outfield and pitched. Wallace hit .235, 6 doubles, 3 triples, a home run, 17 RBIs, 2 stolen bases in 45 games. And as a pitcher, Wallace went 10-7 with an ERA of 3.34, 22 games, 16 starts, 13 complete games, and 2 shutouts. So he was one of our top starting pitchers. Another bench player in the outfield was John Sheeran, who hit .172, 11 hits, a triple, 3 RBIs, 3 stolen bases in 16 games. He had played for the Spiders in 1891, and Sheeran was released in May because his batting average wasn't high enough. Tom Delahanty was a bench player, played third base. He hit .232, 13 hits, 4 doubles, 4 RBIs, 4 stolen bases in 16 games. Delahanty was from Cleveland, Ohio. He died in Sanford, Florida in 1951 at age 78. Career average of .239, 19 games, 16 hits. Delahanty played for the Philadelphia Phillies, Cleveland Spiders, Pittsburgh Pirates, and Louisville Colonels between 1894 and 1897. And of course, his brother Ed Delahanty had played for the Cleveland Infants in 1890 and is in the Baseball Hall of Fame, one of the best players in baseball. But Tom Delahanty they felt wasn't hitting well enough, and he also was released in May. Another bench player, a spare catcher, was Edy O'Meara, who hit .152, 5 games. He walked 5 times, scored 5 runs, and played in 12 games. Sport McAllister was a utility player. McAllister hit .222, 6 hits, 2 doubles, an RBI, a stolen base in 8 games. In other words, he could play different positions. He also pitched 1 game, did not have a decision, an ERA of 6.75. McAllister was from Austin, Mississippi. He died in Wyandotte, Michigan in 1962 at age 87. Career average of .247, 5 home runs, 164 RBIs. McAllister played for the Cleveland Spiders, Detroit Tigers, and Baltimore Orioles between 1896 and 1903. He played outfield, he was a catcher, first baseman, shortstop, third base, second base, and he pitched. Sport McAllister. Lou Krieger was another spare catcher, and Krieger did not get a hit. He played 2 games, batted 5 times, had a walk and a stolen base. Krieger was from Elkhart, Indiana. He died in Tucson, Arizona in 1934 at age 62. Career average of .221, 11 home runs, 342 RBIs. Krieger played for the Cleveland Spiders, St. Louis Perfectos, St. Louis Cardinals, Boston Americans, Boston Red Sox, St. Louis Browns, and New York Highlanders between 1892 and 1912. He won a World Series in 1903 with the Boston Red Sox. He was the opening day catcher for Boston in the first game for Boston in the American League. And he caught most of Cy Young's victories. He caught every inning in 1903 of the World Series when Boston won the title. And he has received Hall of Fame votes, although he's not in the Hall of Fame. Now, the pitching staff was led by the incredible Cy Young, who had a good year as a hitter. Cy Young hit .289, 12 doubles, 3 triples, 3 home runs, 28 RBIs, a stolen base in 53 games. And his pitching record was incredible. He won 28 games, lost 15, ERA of 3.24, 51 games, 46 starts, 42 complete games, 5 shutouts, and 3 saves. Excuse me. On July 23rd in Philadelphia, Cy Young had a no-hitter in the 9th inning with 2 out. And then Ed Delahanty, former Cleveland infant, got a single. So he had a one-hit shutout. Before the season, Cy Young was very optimistic, and he said, quote, "I am in fine shape, and if the other Spiders are in as good a shape as I am, no team in the league will be in it with Cleveland this season." Of course, he stayed in shape doing farm work in the offseason. Early in the season, Cy Young was slumping, and the Sporting Life reported, quote, "Was ist los mit Cy Young?" which is German for "what's wrong with Cy Young?" In a July game, Patsy Tebow lost command of his senses and switched positions with Young and purposely gave up a game-winning hit. And so you can tell that, Patsy Tebow was having mental illness or deteriorating into mental illness. Now, for the first time in his career, in 1896, Cy Young started to wear a fielding glove. Previously, he had pitched without a glove, so the game was changing. In the early years, nobody wore a glove. The second pitcher in the rotation was Nig Cuppy, who also could hit .270, 5 doubles, 2 triples, a home run, 20 RBIs, a stolen base in 47 games. Cuppy's record as a pitcher, he won 25, lost 14, an ERA of 3.12, 46 games, 40 starts, 35 complete games, a shutout, and a save. Near the end of the season in Cincinnati, Cuppy split a bone in his pinky finger on his pitching hand, and his whole arm still hurt. And that must have been problematic. He pitched 2 World Series games, and if he had a split bone in the pinky finger on his pitching hand, that's not good. And anyway, he continued to play. Good year for Nig Cuppy. Zeke Wilson was another pitcher. Wilson hit .270, 27 hits, 3 doubles, 2 triples, 13 RBIs, a stolen base. Wilson's record as a pitcher, he won 17, lost 9, ERA of 4.01, 33 games, 29 starts, 20 complete games, a shutout, and a save. Zeke Wilson. Dale Gear was another pitcher. Gear hit .400, 4 games, 15 at-bats, 6 hits, a double, a triple, 3 RBIs. His pitching record was 0-2 with a 5.48 ERA, 3 games, 2 starts, and 2 complete games. Gear was from Lone Elm, Kansas. He died in Topeka, Kansas in 1951 at age 79. Career record of 4-13, ERA of 4.21, 41 strikeouts. Gear pitched for the Cleveland Spiders and Washington Senators in 1896 and 1901. Dale Gear. And finally, Icebox Chamberlain was with the Spiders. He batted. He did not get a hit in 2 games, 3 at-bats, a walk, and a run scored. His record as a pitcher was 0-1 with an ERA of 7.36, 2 starts, and a complete game. Chamberlain was from Warsaw, New York. He died in Baltimore, Maryland in 1921 at age 61. Now, Chamberlain did have a really good career. He won 157 games, lost 120, ERA of 3.57, 1,133 strikeouts. He pitched for the Louisville Cardinals, St. Louis Browns, Columbus Solons, Philadelphia Athletics, Cincinnati Reds, and Cleveland Spiders between 1886 and 1896. This was the end of his career. In 1890, he led the American Association with 6 shutouts. He's 64th all-time in complete games with 264. After he retired, he became he spent time working as an umpire and a boxer. And he got the nickname Icebox because he could remain cool facing tough opposition. In 1888, Chamberlain pitched the game right-handed for 7 innings, and the last 2 innings he pitched left-handed, and he died of colon cancer. So that's the story of the 1896 Cleveland Spiders, who made us proud. They made it to the World Series for the 2nd year, and the third time in 5 years. Really something. So God bless the guys who played for the Cleveland Spiders in 1896, and everyone else associated with the team, including the fans. Captains of the Cuyahoga, lovers of Lake Erie, Terminal Tower Power, fans of the Free Stamp Statue and the Fountain of Eternal Life, Euclid Avenue Electricity, Severance Hall Stalwarts, First Energy Stadium Friends, Progressive Field Pals, Quicken Loans Arena Enthusiasts, Tribe, Browns, Cavs, Monsters, and Gladiators rule, Cleveland, City of Champions. It's been 70 years since 1948. This is our year. Thank you so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it. God bless you. Take care, and I'll see you next time.